The cafe exploded with laughter as the little girl's hands moved desperately in the air, tears streaming down her face, while strangers turned away. Eloan's heart couldn't breathe, couldn't move, until her body betrayed every logical thought, and she crossed that invisible line, kneeling before the child, signing words she didn't know she remembered. Then she felt it, the weight of a gaze so intense it burned through her skin. And when she looked up, the man standing in the doorway wasn't just watching, he was unraveling. "Papa," the little girl signed, and that was when Eloan realized she had just crossed paths with the most formidable Mafia boss in Korea. Welcome to Afro-Korean Stories TV, besties. Please like, share, and subscribe. Eloan's hands trembled as she signed, muscle memory flooding back from childhood summers spent with her deaf cousin. The little girl's brown eyes widened, and then she was sobbing harder. But these were different tears. Relief. Understanding. Someone finally saw her. "It's okay, sweetheart." Eloan sighed slowly, her rusty skills barely adequate. "I'm here. What do you need?" The child's hands flew rapidly, too fast for Eloan to catch everything, but she understood enough. Lost. Scared. Everyone kept talking to her, their mouths moving uselessly while panic grew in her small chest. Eloan's heart shattered. Around them, the upscale Seoul Cafe continued its afternoon rush. Designer bags hung on chairbacks. Expensive watches caught the light. But not one person had stopped to truly help this terrified child. Eloan felt anger burn beneath her skin. "We'll find your dad," she sighed, pulling off her scarf to wipe the girl's tears. "I promise." That's when the cafe door opened. The temperature dropped. Every head turned. Eloan felt the shift before she saw him, a change in atmospheric pressure, like lightning about to strike. When she finally looked up, her breath caught. The man was devastated. Tall, impossibly broad-shouldered, dressed in a black suit that probably cost more than her yearly rent. His face was carved from marble, all sharp angles and dangerous beauty, with dark eyes that swept the room like a predator searching for prey. Power radiated from him in waves, and people literally stepped back as he moved. But none of that mattered. Because when his gaze found his daughter, then shifted to Eloan kneeling beside her, something cracked in his expression. Something raw and desperate, and so intense that Eloan felt it in her bones. He crossed the space in 4 long strides. "Mina," he said, his voice deep and controlled, but Eloan heard the tremor underneath. His hands moved in fluid sign language. "Baby, are you hurt?" The little girl, Mina, launched herself at him, and he caught her instantly, holding her against his chest like she was his entire world. Over her head, his eyes met Eloan's, and the look he gave her made her heart stutter. Not gratitude. Something darker, hungrier, more devastating, like recognition. "You helped her," he said in accented English, his voice wrapping around the words like silk over steel. "You signed to her." Eloan stood slowly, suddenly aware of how close he was, how he towered over her curvy frame, how his presence seemed to consume all the oxygen. She was scared. No one else would help. His jaw tightened. No one else could. Around them, the cafe had gone silent, every patron watching the interaction with undisguised curiosity. Eloan saw phones being lifted, cameras pointed their direction. This man wasn't just wealthy. He was someone important, someone recognized, someone dangerous. "I should go," Eloan said quickly, moving to step around him. His hand shot out, not touching her, but blocking her path. "Wait." The command in his voice made her freeze, made something low in her belly tighten. "What's your name?" he asked. Eloan swallowed hard. "That's not important. I'm just glad your daughter is safe." It's everything. His eyes held hers, dark and intense. Tell me. Mina pulled back, her small hands moving rapidly against her father's chest. His expression softened as he watched. Then his gaze snapped back to Elowen with renewed intensity. She says you're beautiful, he translated, his voice dropping lower. She says you have kind eyes. She says... He paused, something unreadable crossing his face. She says you feel like sunshine. Elowen's throat tightened. She's a sweet girl. Mina is everything to me, he said quietly, and the raw emotion in his voice made Elowen's chest ache. You gave her something no one else has in this city. You saw her, not her disability. Her. Any decent person would have... No. The single word cut through the air. They wouldn't. They haven't. For 3 years, we've lived in Seoul, and she's been invisible to everyone who doesn't know sign language. You're the first stranger who's tried. Elowen didn't know what to say to that. Didn't know how to process the way he was looking at her, like she'd performed a miracle instead of basic human kindness. Park Jin-woo, he said finally, shifting Mina in his arms to extend his hand. CEO of Park Industries, and apparently in your debt. She recognized the name immediately. Everyone in Seoul knew Park Industries, hotels, real estate, technology, an empire worth billions. This man owned half the city, and she just turned him down. Elowen Hart, she said, taking his hand briefly. The contact sent electricity racing up her arm, and from the way his eyes darkened, he felt it too. But you don't owe me anything, Mr. Park. I just did what anyone should. But they didn't. His hand lingered a moment longer than necessary before releasing hers. Which makes you either remarkably naive or remarkably brave. I'm trying to determine which. I prefer principled, Elowen said, lifting her chin. And I really should go. I have a job interview across town. His expression sharpened. You're looking for work? That's not why I helped your daughter. I never thought it was. He pulled a card from his inner pocket, holding it out. But if the interview doesn't go well, call me. I'm always looking for good people. Elowen stared at the elegant black card, embossed with gold lettering. It felt like accepting something more than a job offer. It felt like stepping into a current that would sweep her away. Thank you, but... Mina's hands moved again, and Jin-woo's expression softened impossibly. She wants to know if she'll see you again. Elowen's heart clenched. The little girl was looking at her with such hope, such desperate longing for connection, that she couldn't bear to disappoint her. Maybe, Elowen said gently, signing the word as she spoke. Not maybe. Jin-woo's voice dropped to something almost possessive. Definitely. Take the card, Miss Hart, whether you need a job or not. My daughter has decided she likes you, and what Mina wants. His eyes held hers with devastating intensity. I make happen. It sounded like a threat and a promise. Elowen took the card. The moment her fingers touched it, she knew her life had just changed forever. The interview was a disaster. 2 hours later, Elowen sat in a cramped office, while a pinched-faced HR manager explained that while her qualifications were adequate, they were looking for someone with better cultural fit. Translation: she was too African, too curvy, too different for their conservative Korean company. She'd heard it before. She smiled politely, thanked them for their time, and left with her head high. Outside, Seoul's late afternoon heat hit her like a wall. Her small apartment was an hour away by subway, and she was exhausted, broke, and running out of options. The black card in her purse felt like it was burning. Don't, she muttered to herself, walking toward the subway station. You don't take handouts. You don't accept charity. You especially don't accept job offers from devastatingly attractive billionaires whose eyes make you forget your own name. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. Hello, Miss Hart. That voice. Deep, controlled, but she could hear something underneath. Relief? This is Park Jin-woo. I hope you don't mind. I had my assistant track down your number from the cafe's security footage. That should have alarmed her. Instead, her pulse quickened. That's invasive. Yes, he agreed simply. But I needed to reach you. The interview. How did it go? How did you... She stopped walking. Are you having me followed? Yes. The honesty shocked her into silence. I'm not a good man, Miss Hart, he continued, his voice dropping lower. I'm a very bad man who does very bad things to protect what's mine. But I'm honest about it. And right now, I need to know if you're employed, because if you're not, I have a proposal. I'm not interested in... Mina needs a companion, someone who knows sign language, someone patient, someone kind, someone she connects with. I'll pay you triple whatever that company was offering, plus housing, plus benefits. All you have to do is spend time with my daughter. Elowen's heart raced. You can't just offer someone a job like that. You don't know me. I know enough. You helped a scared child when no one else would. You didn't ask for money or recognition. You didn't even want to give me your name. That tells me everything I need to know. Mr. Park, come to dinner, he interrupted. Tonight. My home. Meet Mina properly, see what the job would entail, and make an informed decision. If you say no afterwards, I'll accept it. But I'm asking you to consider it. She should refuse. Every instinct screamed danger. But she thought of Mina's tear-stained face, her desperate hand sign into empty air, the loneliness in her eyes that Elowen recognized too well. Just dinner? She asked. Just dinner. My driver will collect you at 7. Text me your address. I haven't agreed. You will, he said softly. And it wasn't arrogance in his voice. It was certain. Because you have the same look I do. The one who can't walk away from someone who needs help. Text me, Elowen. He hung up. Elowen stared at her phone, her name still echoing in her mind. The way he'd said it. Like a caress. Like a claim. Like something precious. She was in so much trouble. At precisely 7 o'clock, a black Mercedes pulled up outside Elowen's modest apartment building. The driver was professional, silent, and drove them out of the city into the hills, where Seoul's elite built their fortunes into architecture. Jinwoo's home wasn't a house, it was a statement. Modern, massive, all glass and steel, and impossible views of the city below. Security was tight. Guards, cameras, gates that required 3 separate clearances. This wasn't just wealth, this was power. And Elowen was walking straight into its center. The driver led her to the entrance, where Jinwoo himself waited. He'd changed from his suit into dark slacks, and a white shirt rolled to his forearms, somehow looking even more dangerous in casual clothes. His eyes tracked her from head to toe, and she saw something flare in their depths when they lingered on her curves, barely hidden by her simple dress. You came, he said. I said I would. Most people say many things. Few follow through. He stepped aside, gesturing her in. Mina is in the garden. She's been watching the driveway for an hour. Guilt and warmth twisted together in Elowen's chest. You told her I was coming. I told her I was trying to convince you. She's been signing prayers at me ever since. His hand brushed the small of her back as he guided her through the stunning interior. Barely any contact, but it burned through the fabric. Fair warning, Miss Hart. My daughter is about to fall in love with you, and I'm discovering I'm not much better at resistance. Elowen's breath caught. Mr. Park. Jinwoo, he corrected, his voice low and intimate. When a woman has possibly saved your daughter's emotional well-being, formality becomes absurd. They walked through a living room that belonged in magazines, past art that probably cost millions, into a glass-walled garden where a little girl sat on a bench, kicking her feet anxiously. The moment Mina saw Ilowen, she erupted in movement, running, signing, laughing, her whole face transformed with joy. Ilowen barely caught her as she threw herself forward, small arms wrapping tight around her waist. "Hello, sweet girl," Ilowen signed over her head, blinking back unexpected tears. "I'm so happy to see you." Mina pulled back, hands flying. You came. You came. Daddy said maybe, but I knew you would because you're magic, and you see me, and I want you to stay forever and—" "Slow down," Ilowen signed with a laugh, catching maybe half of it. "My signing is rusty. I need you to teach me." Mina's eyes went wide. Then she nodded so vigorously her pigtails bounced and grabbed Ilowen's hand, dragging her toward the garden with determined purpose. Behind them, Jinwoo watched with an expression that would have stopped Ilowen's heart if she'd seen it. Raw, unguarded, completely undone by the sight of his daughter's happiness, and this woman who'd brought it. He was already in too deep, and he didn't care. Dinner was an experience Ilowen would never forget. Mina insisted Ilowen sit beside her, signing constant commentary about everything: the food, the flowers on the table, her favorite toys, the bird she'd seen that morning. Jinwoo sat across from them, translating when needed, watching the interaction with that same intense focus. "She's never been this animated with anyone except me," he said quietly, as Mina ran to get a book she wanted to show Ilowen. "Not teachers, not therapists, not family friends. You've known her 3 hours, and she's more open with you than people she's known for years." "Children know who's safe," Ilowen said simply. "She can feel that I'm not going to hurt her." "And me?" His eyes locked on hers. "Can you feel that?" The question hung heavy between them, dangerous, loaded with meaning. "I don't know you well enough to feel anything about you, Mr. Park." "Jinwoo," he corrected again. "And you're lying. I saw your pulse jump when I touched your back. I see the way you watch me when you think I'm not looking. You feel something, Ilowen. The question is whether you're brave enough to admit it." Heat flooded her cheeks. "This is about a job offer, not—" "It stopped being about a job the moment I saw you kneeling beside my daughter," he interrupted, his voice dropping to something dark and velvet. "It became about the fact that I haven't been able to think about anything except you for the past 6 hours. About the way you move, the way you speak, the way you made my daughter smile. About how I want to learn every single thing that makes you happy, and then spend the rest of my life providing it." Ilowen's heart hammered. "You don't even know me. Then let me." He leaned forward, elbows on the table, and the intensity in his eyes made her dizzy. "Take the job. Spend time with Mina. Let me prove I'm worth the risk. And if I say no," his jaw tightened, "then I'll accept it. But I'll regret it for the rest of my life. And so will Mina." Mina chose that moment to return, book clutched to her chest, completely unaware of the tension crackling between the adults. She climbed into Ilowen's lap as she belonged there, opened the book, and began signing the story with animated expressions. Ilowen's arms came around her instinctively, holding the little girl close, and she felt Jinwoo's gaze on them like a physical touch. This was dangerous. This was insane. This was everything she'd sworn to avoid after her last disaster in Seoul, getting tangled up with wealthy, powerful men who saw her as temporary entertainment. But looking at Mina's happy face, feeling Jinwoo's eyes on her with that devastating intensity, Ilowen felt herself falling anyway. 1 month, she heard herself say. Trial basis. If it's not working, it will work, Jinwoo said immediately. I'll make sure of it. That sounded like another promise and threat. Ilowen was beginning to realize that's just how he spoke. like every word was a vow he'd die to keep. The next morning, Elowen arrived at Jinwoo's home at 9 o'clock sharp. She'd spent the night second-guessing her decision, but the generous contract his lawyer had delivered at midnight, along with the first month's salary as advance, had silenced most of her doubts. The money was obscene. The benefits were better. The private suite in his guest house was larger than her entire apartment. This wasn't a job. It was a transformation. Mina met her at the door, already dressed and vibrating with excitement. She grabbed Elowen's hand and pulled her inside, signing rapidly about all the things they were going to do together. Jinwoo appeared from his home office, phone in hand, looking sharp and dangerous in a charcoal suit. His eyes found Elowen immediately, and something possessive flickered across his face. "You're here," he said, pocketing the phone. "Good. Mina's been awake since 6. "I'm excited too." Elowen signed to Mina, then looked at Jinwoo. "What's her usual routine?" "Whatever she wants," he said with brutal honesty. "I've spoiled her terribly since her mother left. The therapists say structure would help, but I can't seem to deny her anything." "Her mother?" Elowen asked carefully. His expression went cold. "Left when Mina was 2. Said she couldn't handle a disabled child. I haven't heard from her in 5 years, and that's exactly how long I'll hate her." The venom in his voice was shocking. Protective. Absolute. "Then we'll build a structure together," Elowen said firmly. "She needs routine, socialization, education that's designed for her, not against her. But first, she needs to trust me completely." "She already does." Jinwoo moved closer, and Elowen caught his scent. Expensive cologne and something darker. "The question is whether you trust yourself here. With us." "Us?" She met his eyes. "This job is about Mina." "Everything in my life is about Mina," he agreed. "But that doesn't mean I'm blind to what's happening between us, Elowen. And I don't think you are either." Before she could respond, Mina tugged her hand, pointing toward the garden with excited gestures. Jinwoo's phone rang, and he grimaced, answering in rapid Korean while walking away. Elowen let Mina lead her outside, trying to ignore the way her heart raced, the way Jinwoo's words echoed in her mind. This was just a job. She'd keep it professional. She'd keep her distance. She'd absolutely not fall for the devastatingly intense billionaire whose eyes followed her like she was air and he was drowning. She was lying to herself, and she knew it. By the end of the first week, Elowen had established a routine that had Mina thriving. Mornings were for learning, sign language expansion, reading, and creative play. Afternoons were for socialization, visits to parks where Elowen had found other deaf children and their families, building a network Mina had never had. Evenings were for art, music, and winding down. Jinwoo watched it all with barely concealed amazement. He'd rearranged his entire schedule to be home more, claiming he needed to supervise the transition. But Elowen saw through it. He was watching her, studying her, learning her patterns like he was memorizing scripture. It should have felt invasive. Instead, it felt inevitable. Friday evening, Mina was asleep in her room after an exhausting day at the park. Elowen was collecting toys from the garden when Jinwoo appeared with 2 glasses of wine, offering one. "She's changed," he said quietly, leaning against the doorframe. "In 1 week, you've given her more confidence than 3 years of therapy." "She just needed someone who speaks her language," Elowen said, accepting the glass. "She's brilliant, Jinwoo. Absolutely brilliant. The schools you've tried, they're not right for her. She needs specialized education. But here, it's all about conformity. She needs freedom to be herself." "Then we'll create it," he said simply. "Whatever she needs. Money isn't an object." "You are." Elowen's breath caught. "Don't say things like that." "Why not?" He moved closer, and she could feel the heat radiating from him. "It's true. You've become essential to my daughter in 7 days. Do you have any idea how rare that is? How miraculous? I'm just doing my job. You're doing magic." His hand came up, fingers brushing her cheek so gently she almost didn't feel it. Almost. "And I'm trying very hard to remain professional, Elowen, but you're making it impossible. The way you are with Mina, the way you've brought light into this house, the way you look at me when you think I'm not paying attention." His thumb traced her jaw. "Tell me to stop." She should. She absolutely should. "I can't," she whispered. His eyes flared dark. "Can't tell me to stop, or can't resist this?" "Both." "Neither." "I don't know." She stepped back, breaking contact, her whole body trembling. "This is complicated, Jinwoo. You're my employer. I'm here for Mina. This isn't— We can't." "I'm paying you to care for my daughter," he interrupted, his voice rough. "Not to pretend you don't feel what's between us. Those are separate things, Elowen, and I'm very good at keeping them separate." "Are you?" She turned to face him fully. "Because it doesn't feel separate. It feels like you're everywhere, all the time, watching me, making sure I have everything I need, showing up exactly when I'm thinking about you. It feels like you're trying to take over my entire life. Would that be so terrible?" He moved into her space again, crowding her against the garden wall. "Having someone who wants to take care of you, who wants to know everything about you, who's willing to give you anything you ask for." "Yes," she breathed, even as her body betrayed her, leaning toward him. "Because I don't need saving, Jinwoo. I don't need a white knight, or a billionaire, or someone who thinks they can fix me with money and attention. I don't think you need fixing." His hand pressed against the wall beside her head, caging her in. "I think you're perfect exactly as you are. Brave and kind, and so beautiful it hurts to look at you. I think you've been handling everything alone for too long, and the idea of someone wanting to share your burdens offends your pride. But mostly—" He leaned in until his lips nearly touched her ear. "I think you're terrified, because you feel this too, and you don't know what to do about it." Elowen's eyes closed. "This is a bad idea." "Probably." His breath ghosted over her skin. "But I've built an empire on bad ideas that turned out brilliant. Give me a chance, Elowen. Let me prove this could work." "How?" Her voice was barely a whisper. "How could this possibly work? You're one of the richest men in Seoul, and I'm a woman barely scraping by. You live in a world I can't even imagine, with dangers and pressures and expectations I don't understand. And Mina, God, Mina deserves stability, not watching her father and her caretaker navigate some complicated relationship that might explode." "Then we'll make sure it doesn't explode." He pulled back just enough to meet her eyes. "I'm not asking you to marry me, Elowen. I'm asking you to have dinner with me. One dinner, away from this house, just us. See if this is real or just proximity." She wanted to say no, wanted to maintain professional boundaries, wanted to protect herself from the inevitable heartbreak. But his eyes held hers with such raw honesty, such desperate hope, that she found herself nodding. "One dinner," she agreed. "But if this goes badly—" "It won't." His smile was devastating. "I'll make sure of it." There was that certainty again, that absolute confidence that made her believe maybe, just maybe, he was right. The following evening, Elowen found herself in a private room at one of Seoul's most exclusive restaurants, sitting across from Jinwoo while he watched her with that intense focus that made her feel like the only person in the world. He'd arranged everything, sent a stylist to help her choose a dress, elegant, midnight blue, that hugged her curves and made her feel powerful. Sent his driver. Left Mina with his most trusted guard, a gentleman who knew sign language and whom Mina adored. This was seduction as warfare, and Elowen was helpless against it. Tell me about yourself, Jinwoo said, pouring wine with steady hands. I know you're from Kenya, that you came to Seoul 3 years ago for university, that you're fluent in 6 languages, including sign language, and that you're brilliant with children. But I want to know the rest. What do you dream about? What scares you? What makes you happy? Alawan took a sip of wine, studying him. That's a lot of questions for a first date. Is that what this is? His lips curved. A date? What would you call it? The beginning, he said simply, of something that's going to change both our lives. The certainty in his voice should have alarmed her. Instead, it sent heat racing through her veins. I dream about making a difference, she said finally. About creating programs for disabled children in countries where they're invisible. About building bridges between cultures. About, she hesitated, about belonging somewhere completely. You don't feel like you belong here? I'm African in Korea, she said with a sad smile. I'll never fully belong here, Jinwoo. I've made peace with that. His expression darkened. Has someone made you feel unwelcome? Because if anyone has hurt you, no one's hurt me. She touched his hand before she could stop herself. It's just reality. I stand out. People stare. Some are kind, some aren't. But I'm always different. Always other. Good, he said roughly. Be different. Be other. Be exactly who you are. Anyone who can't see how extraordinary that makes you isn't worth your time. Alawan's throat tightened. You barely know me. I know enough. He turned his hand, capturing hers. I know you walked into my daughter's life and gave her something no one else has. I know you work harder than anyone I've met. I know you're fiercely independent to the point of self-destruction. I know. His thumb stroked her palm. I know I've never wanted anything the way I want you. The raw honesty stole her breath. Jinwoo. I'm not good at pretense, Alawan. I'm a businessman. I see what I want. I assess the risks. I make my move. And I want you. So tell me now, if there's any chance, any possibility at all, that you might want me too. Because if there isn't, I'll step back. I'll keep this professional. But if there is, his eyes burned into hers. If there is, I'm going to pursue you with everything I have. Her heart hammered. She should lie, should protect herself. Should. There's a chance, she whispered. The smile that spread across his face was pure victory. Then we're doing this, he said, bringing her hand to his lips. Fair warning, Alawan Hart. I don't do anything halfway. When I commit, it's completely. And I'm committing to you. This is insane. We barely know each other. We'll learn. He stood, pulling her up with him. Dance with me. There's no music. He pulled out his phone, pressed a button, and soft jazz filled the private room. Then his arms came around her, pulling her close, and Alawan forgot how to breathe. He was solid and warm and impossibly strong. One hand splayed across her lower back, the other cradling hers against his chest. She could feel his heartbeat, steady and sure, and smell his cologne, and feel the way he held her like she was something precious. This is dangerous, she murmured against his shoulder. Life is dangerous, he replied. This is worth it. They swayed together, no words needed, and Alawan felt herself falling despite every warning in her mind. Felt herself surrendering to something inevitable and terrifying and absolutely right. When he tilted her chin up, his eyes asking permission, she didn't hesitate, just nodded, and his lips met hers in a kiss that rewrote everything she thought she knew about desire. Soft, demanding, devastating. He kissed her like she was air, and he was drowning, like he'd been waiting his whole life for this moment, as nothing else in the world existed except her mouth under his. Elowen's hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer, and his grip tightened. A low sound rumbling from his chest that made her knees weak. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, his forehead rested against hers. "Tell me you feel this," he demanded roughly. "Tell me I'm not alone." "You're not alone," she breathed. "God help me, you're not alone." His smile was beautiful and terrifying. "Then we're doing this, really doing this." "What about Mina? What about—" "Mina already loves you," he interrupted. "The rest we'll figure out together. Just say yes, Elowen. Say you'll give this a real chance." She should think it through, should be rational, should protect herself. Instead, she kissed him again, pouring every unspoken feeling into it, and felt him respond with matching intensity. "Yes," she whispered against his lips. "Yes." The following weeks blurred together in a haze of stolen moments and careful navigation. By day, Elowen devoted herself to Mina, teaching, playing, building the little girl's confidence with every interaction. By night, after Mina was asleep, Jinwoo would find her in the garden or the library or wherever she'd retreated, and they'd talk for hours about everything and nothing. He was teaching her about his world. She was teaching him about hers. And somewhere in between, they were building something neither could name, but both desperately wanted. But Jinwoo's world came with complications Elowen hadn't anticipated. 3 weeks into their arrangement, she was taking Mina to the park when she noticed the cameras. Professional equipment, long lenses, multiple angles. Paparazzi. Her stomach dropped. She pulled Mina close, signing quickly. "We're going home, sweetheart. Change of plans." Mina's face fell, but she nodded, trusting Elowen completely. They made it to the car, but not before dozens of photos were taken. Elowen and Mina, the mysterious African woman with Park Jinwoo's daughter. Speculation fuel. Jinwoo's reaction was volcanic. She'd barely walked through the door when he was there, phone pressed to his ear, voice cold enough to freeze. "I don't care what it costs. Buy the photos, all of them, and find out who leaked her schedule." He ended the call, eyes finding Elowen immediately. "Are you all right? Did they say anything to you?" "We're fine," she assured him, even as her hands trembled slightly. "Just pictures." "But Jinwoo, this is going to become a thing, isn't it? People are going to ask questions about who I am, why I'm with Mina. Let them ask." He closed the distance between them, hands framing her face. "I'll handle it. You just focus on staying safe." "You can't control everything," she said quietly. "Your world is too big, too public. Eventually, people are going to find out about us. And when they do, I'll make it clear you're under my protection," he interrupted, his voice dropping to something dangerous. "That anyone who comes after you comes after me. And trust me, Elowen, no one in Seoul is stupid enough to do that." The possessiveness in his tone should have alarmed her. Instead, it sent heat pooling in her belly, made her feel safer than she'd felt in years. "This is your life," she whispered. "Cameras and speculation and people watching your every move. I don't know if I'm built for this." "You're built for anything." His thumb stroked her cheek. "You're the strongest person I've ever met. But I understand if this is too much. If you want him out." "I don't want out." The words came without thought. "I'm just scared. Of losing Mina. Of losing you. Of this all falling apart because I'm not equipped to handle your world." "Then let me equip you." He pulled her close, wrapping her in his arms. "Security team, media training, whatever you need. You're not facing this alone. Not anymore." Against his chest, Elowen felt tears burn. No one had ever offered to share their strength like this. No one had ever made her feel like her fears were valid, but conquerable. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay." His arms tightened. "I've got you. I promise." That evening, after Mina was asleep, Jinwoo led Eloan to his private office. The walls were lined with monitors, showing security feeds from every angle of the property, evidence of the control he maintained over his environment. "This is what I didn't want you to see," he said quietly, gesturing to the screens. "The extent of what I do to keep Mina safe, to keep everyone I care about safe." Eloan studied the feeds, understanding dawning. "You don't just have money, do you? You have enemies." "I have competitors who'd love to see me fall," he confirmed. "Business rivals who've tried everything from corporate espionage to actual threats. It's why Mina has guards. Why is this house a fortress? Why I'm so careful about who gets close to us. And you're letting me in anyway." "I'm letting you in because I trust you," he said, turning to face her. "But also because I'm selfish. Because I want you here regardless of the risks. Because the thought of sending you away makes me physically ill." "Jinwoo, I need you to understand what you're stepping into," he interrupted. "My world isn't safe. It's cutthroat and dangerous, and filled with people who'd use you to get to me without hesitation. If you stay, you become a target. And I need to know you're prepared for that." Eloan's heart raced. "Are you trying to scare me away?" "I'm trying to be honest." He moved closer, eyes intense. "Because if something happened to you because of me, I'd burn this city to the ground. And I need you to decide if that's the kind of man you want in your life." The admission hung between them, brutal, honest, terrifying. "I should be running," Eloan said finally. "Everything rational tells me to walk away. But I can't. Because I look at Mina and see the difference I'm making. And I look at you and see—" She trailed off, unable to finish. "What?" he pressed, voice rough. "What do you see?" "Home," she whispered. "I see home." His eyes flared. Then he was kissing her, desperate and claiming, backing her against the desk with barely controlled intensity. His hands gripped her waist, fingers digging in, and she gasped against his mouth. "Say it again," he demanded. "Tell me I'm your home." "You're my home," she breathed, and felt him shudder against her. "Mine," he growled. "You're mine, Eloan. Say it." The possessiveness should have terrified her. Instead, it ignited something primal, something that made her arch into him and whisper, "Yours." His control snapped. Later, much later, they lay tangled together in his bedroom, and Eloan traced patterns on his chest while he stroked her hair with reverent fingers. "I should go back to the guest house," she murmured, though she made no move to leave. "Stay." His arm tightened around her. "Please. Just tonight. I need to know you're close. Mina will notice in the morning. Mina will be thrilled." He pressed a kiss to her forehead. "She keeps asking me when you're going to officially be part of our family. I think she knows before we do that this is forever. Forever." The word terrified and thrilled her in equal measure. "You move fast," she said softly. "I know what I want." He tilted her face up, eyes serious. "And I want you. In my home, in my life, in my bed. I want to wake up with you every morning and fall asleep with you every night. I want Mina to call you hers. I want everyone in Seoul to know you're untouchable because you're mine." "That's a lot of wanting." "Is it too much?" His jaw tightened. "Because I can slow down if you need me to. But I won't pretend this is casual for me, Eloan. It never has been. From the moment you knelt beside my daughter, you became essential. And I don't know how to be anything other than completely committed." Eloan's eyes burned. "I'm scared. Of me? Of this? Of how fast it's moving? Of how much I already feel for you?" She pressed her palm over his heart. "Of how devastating it would be if I lost you. You won't lose me." He covered her hand with his. "I'm not going anywhere, and neither are you. We'll figure this out together, at whatever pace you need. Just don't leave, Eloan. Don't run because you're scared of what we could be." She wanted to promise, wanted to believe it was possible. But fear lived in her bones, whispering that people like her didn't get happy endings with men like him. As if reading her thoughts, Jin-woo pulled her closer. "Whatever doubts you have, talk to me. Whatever fears, share them. I can't fix what I don't know about." "I'm afraid I'm not enough," she admitted in a whisper. "That eventually you'll realize I don't fit in your world, that I'm just a distraction, that—" "Stop!" He rolled them over, pinning her gently beneath him, eyes fierce. "You're everything. You're the woman who saw my daughter when no one else did, who brought light into our darkness, who makes me want to be better than I am. You're not a distraction, Iloan. You're the point." Then he was kissing her again, slow and deep, proving with his body what words couldn't express. And Iloan let herself believe, just for tonight, that maybe fairy tales existed even for girls like her. The next morning, Mina found them having breakfast together and erupted in excited signing. Jin-woo laughed, translating for Iloan's benefit. "She wants to know if this means you're her mother now." Iloan's breath caught. "Jin-woo, I can't just tell her we're working on it," he said calmly, signing to Mina as he spoke. "That Iloan is very special to both of us, and we're building our family together." Mina's face lit up like sunrise. She threw herself at Iloan, hugging tight, and Iloan felt tears slip free. "I love you," Mina sighed against her shoulder. "Please stay forever." "I love you too, sweet girl," Iloan signed back, looking at Jin-woo over Mina's head. He was watching them with such raw emotion that her heart cracked open. This was real. This was happening. She was building a family with a man she'd known for less than 2 months and his daughter, who'd stolen her heart completely. It should have been terrifying. Instead, it felt like coming home. 3 days later, everything changed. Iloan was at the park with Mina, surrounded by the usual security team. Jin-woo insisted on accompanying them everywhere when a man approached. Well-dressed, professional, with a camera around his neck that screamed, "Journalist." "Miss Hart?" He spoke in accented English. "I'm Kim Sung from Seoul Daily. I was hoping to ask you a few questions about your relationship with Park Jin-woo." One of the guards stepped forward immediately, but Iloan held up a hand. "I have no comment. Is it true you're living with him? That you're the nanny to his daughter?" "I work for Mr. Park, yes. Beyond that, my personal life is private." "There are rumors you're engaged, that he's planning to marry you. Can you confirm?" "This conversation is over." She turned away, pulling Mina close, but the reporter wasn't finished. "What about the other woman? The one claiming she's Mina's mother? She's filed a lawsuit for custody. Does Park know you're—" Iloan's world tilted. "What?" The reporter smiled, sensing blood in the water. "You didn't know? Park Jin-woo's ex-wife returned to Seoul 3 days ago. She's demanding custody of Mina and claiming you're an unqualified foreign worker who shouldn't have access to her daughter. She's scheduled a press conference for tomorrow. I thought you'd want to comment." Iloan couldn't breathe. Mina's mother was back, filing for custody. And Jin-woo hadn't told her? "No comment," she managed, then grabbed Mina's hand and practically ran for the car. Jin-woo was in a meeting when she arrived home, but Iloan didn't care. She burst into his office, ignoring the shocked looks from the men in expensive suits surrounding his desk, and demanded, "Is it true?" Jin-woo's expression went carefully blank. "Gentlemen, we'll continue this later." They filed out quickly. The moment the door closed, his mask cracked. "Iloan, is it true?" she repeated, voice shaking. "Is Mina's mother back? Is she filing for custody?" His jaw tightened. "Yes." "And you didn't tell me?" Anger replaced shock. You let me walk into that park, with reporters ambushing me, without any warning that our lives were about to explode? I was handling it, he said, moving toward her. My lawyers are all ready. Handling it? She stepped back, shaking her head. This isn't a business deal, Jinwoo. This is Mina's life. My life. And you decided to keep me in the dark? I was protecting you, his voice rose. I didn't want you worrying about something I could fix. I didn't want her poison touching you until I'd already dealt with it. That's not your choice to make. Ilawan's hands fisted at her sides. I'm not some fragile thing you can shield from reality. I'm an adult, and if I'm part of this family, I deserve to know when there's a threat. You are part of this family, said roughly. Which is exactly why I need to protect you. Do you have any idea what that woman is capable of? The damage she could do? Tell me, Ilawan demanded. Stop treating me like I can't handle the truth and just tell me what's happening. Jinwoo ran a hand through his hair, frustration etched in every line of his body. She wants money. That's all this is. She abandoned Mina, didn't look back for 5 years, and now that my business is worth more than ever, she's back claiming maternal rights. But she doesn't want Mina. She wants a settlement. And if she doesn't get one, his expression went cold. Then we go to court. And I win. Because no judge in Korea will give custody to a woman who abandoned a deaf child without looking back. Unless they think you're unfit too, Ilawan's voice dropped. Unless they look at your lifestyle, your security, the fact that you've hired an unqualified foreign woman to care for your daughter and decide neither of you should have her. Jinwoo's face drained of color. That won't happen. You don't know that. Tears burned her eyes. I love Mina. I love her more than anything. But if my presence here damages your case, if I'm the reason you lose her, don't. He closed the distance between them, gripping her shoulders. Don't you dare finish that sentence. You are not leaving. You're not the problem here. She is. But I could be used against you, Ilawan insisted. A foreign woman with no credentials, living in your home, in your bed. Then I'll marry you. The words were fierce, desperate. Right now. Today. Make you Mina's legal stepmother so no one can question your place here. Ilawan's breath caught. You don't mean that. I've never meant anything more. His hands framed her face. I was going to wait. Do this properly. Give you the proposal you deserve. But if marrying you now protects you both, then that's what we're doing. That's not how this works. She pulled away, shaking her head. You can't just decide we're getting married because of a lawsuit. That's insane. What's insane is pretending I don't want to marry you anyway. His voice dropped. I love you, Ilawan. I'm completely, irrevocably in love with you. Have been since you knelt beside my daughter and showed her she wasn't alone. This isn't about the lawsuit. It's about making permanent what I already feel. You love me, she repeated numbly, desperately. He moved closer again, and this time she didn't retreat. And if you need time to feel the same, I'll give it to you. But don't leave. Don't let her drive you away. Please. Ilawan's mind spun. Love, marriage, a custody battle. It was too much, too fast, too overwhelming. I need to think, she whispered. I need space to process this. Pain flashed across his face, but he nodded. Take whatever time you need. But Ilawan? He caught her hand as she turned. Don't think for 1 second that I'm letting you go without a fight. You're mine. And I protect what's mine. That night, Ilawan couldn't sleep. She lay in the guest house bed, staring at the ceiling, mind racing. Jinwoo loved her. He wanted to marry her. But was it real, or just a reaction to a threat? And more importantly, did it matter? She loved Mina. She loved him. But love wasn't always enough, especially when lawyers and custody battles, and public opinion got involved. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Hello? Miss Hart. The female voice was cool, cultured. This is Yoonji Young. I believe you've heard my name. Mina's mother. Alawan sat up, heart racing. How did you get this number? I have resources, just as I have lawyers, media contacts, and a very compelling case for custody of my daughter. A pause. I'm calling to offer you a deal. I'm not interested in. Leave Jinwoo's home, Ji Young interrupted smoothly. End whatever relationship you have with him. Disappear from our daughter's life. Do that, and I'll drop the custody suit. Alawan's blood ran cold. Mina is not a bargaining chip, isn't she? The woman's laugh was cruel. I don't want her, Miss Hart, but I do want Jinwoo to suffer, and the best way to make him suffer is to take away what he loves. His daughter. You. Both, if possible. You're sick. I'm practical. He humiliated me, forced me out, and made sure I couldn't show my face in Seoul society. Now it's his turn to hurt. Unless... She let the word hang. Unless you remove yourself from the equation. Leave him. I'll drop the suit. Everyone wins. Except Mina, Alawan said coldly. Who would lose someone who actually loves her? Children are resilient. She'll recover. Can you say the same? Because if you stay, I'll make sure every media outlet in Korea knows about your relationship. The foreign woman seducing the billionaire, living in his home, playing mother to his disabled daughter. They'll crucify you, Miss Hart. You'll become the villain in this story. Or I'll become the woman who stood by the man and child she loves, Alawan countered, anger burning through fear. And you'll become exactly what you are, a monster who abandoned her daughter and came back only for money. Silence. Then, you're making a mistake. I tried to be kind. Now, I'll be thorough. You have 24 hours to leave. After that, I make both your lives hell. The line went dead. Alawan sat frozen, the threat echoing in her mind. Then she was up, pulling on clothes, running across the property to the main house. Jinwoo met her at the door, instantly alert. What's wrong? She called me, Alawan said breathlessly. Mina's mother. She threatened me. Said if I don't leave, she'll destroy us both. His expression went absolutely murderous. What exactly did she say? Alawan repeated the conversation, watching his face grow darker with every word. By the end, he was practically vibrating with rage. Pack your things, he said coldly. Her heart stopped. What? Not to leave. He pulled her inside, hands gentle despite the fury in his eyes. To move into the main house. The guest house isn't secure enough. I want you where I can protect you every second. Jinwoo, maybe I should... If you say you should leave, I'm going to lose my mind, he interrupted. She's counting on you being scared enough to run. Don't give her what she wants. But if staying puts Mina at risk, you are what keeps Mina safe. His hands framed her face. You're the best thing that's ever happened to her, to both of us. And I'm not letting some vindictive woman destroy that because she's jealous of what we've built. She said she'd go to the media, make me look like, I don't care what she says. His voice was steel. My lawyers will handle it. My PR team will control the narrative, and I will make sure anyone who comes after you regrets it. This is bigger than you can control, Alawan whispered. She has lawyers, resources. I have more. Simple. Absolute. And I have something she'll never understand. Actual love for my daughter. Any judge will see that. Any journalist worth their credentials will see through her lies. We're going to win this, Alawan, but only if you stay and fight with me. She wanted to believe him, wanted to trust that love could conquer legal battles and public opinion. I'm scared, she admitted. Then be scared with me. He pulled her close. Be scared in my arms, in my home, surrounded by people who'll protect you. But don't be scared alone. Never alone again. Against his chest, Elowen felt the last of her resistance crumble. Okay, I'll stay. I'll fight. We'll fight, he corrected. Together. The press conference the next day was brutal. Ji Young stood before cameras, beautiful and composed, painting herself as a reformed mother desperate to reconnect with her daughter. She cried at all the right moments, said all the right things, and carefully, deliberately, implied that Jin Woo's relationship with an unqualified foreign worker put Mina at risk. Watching from Jin Woo's office, Elowen felt sick. She's good, she murmured. Cameras love her. Cameras love performance, Jin Woo countered, his arm around her shoulders. Truth is different. And we have truth on our side. His phone rang. He answered, listened, then smiled coldly. Good. Release it. Release what? Elowen asked. Every piece of evidence documenting her abandonment. Hospital records from when Mina was diagnosed. Letters I sent begging her to be involved. Bank statements proving I've supported Mina completely alone for 5 years. And his smile turned vicious. Photographs of her in Thailand with her new family, the husband, the 2 children she's raised while ignoring Mina. Elowen's eyes widened. She has other children? 2. Both hearing. Both were fully involved in her life, while my daughter received nothing. He typed something on his phone. My lawyers are delivering this to every media outlet that carried her. Press conference. By tomorrow, public opinion shifts. That's ruthless. That's love. He turned to face her fully. I will destroy anyone who threatens my family. And you're my family now, Elowen, which means I'll burn down her entire life if that's what it takes to keep you safe. The ferocity in his voice should have frightened her. Instead, it made her feel cherished, protected, claimed in a way that satisfied something primal. I love you, she said suddenly. I should have said it before. But I love you, Jin Woo, completely. His eyes flared. Then he was kissing her, deep and claiming, pouring every unspoken emotion into it. When they broke apart, his forehead rested against hers. Marry me, he whispered. Not because of lawyers or custody or protection. Marry me because I can't imagine my life without you. Because Mina needs you. Because I need you. Marry me, Elowen. Tears slipped down her cheeks. That's still not a proposal. He laughed, the sound rough. Then he was dropping to one knee, pulling a ring box from his pocket. When had he gotten that? And opening it to reveal a stunning diamond that caught the light. Elowen Hart, he said formally, eyes shining. You walked into my life when I'd stopped believing in miracles. You gave my daughter the world. You gave me hope. You've made me want to be better, softer, more open. And I'm asking, begging, will you marry me? Will you be Mina's mother and my wife, and the center of everything I build from this moment forward? She couldn't speak, could only nod, tears flowing freely. He slid the ring on her finger, then stood and kissed her again, this time with devastating gentleness. I'll spend the rest of my life making sure you never regret this. I couldn't regret you if I tried, she whispered. The following week was chaos, media frenzy over the custody battle. Reporters camped outside Jin Woo's property. Speculation about Elowen's role in the family. But Jin Woo's evidence did its job. Public opinion shifted dramatically. Ji Young went from sympathetic mother to opportunistic villain overnight. Her lawyers called. She wanted to negotiate. Jin Woo's response was simple. No. She's offering to drop everything for a settlement, his lawyer explained over speakerphone. 20 million. She disappears, signs away parental rights permanently. Offer her 50 million, Jin Woo said coldly, on the condition she never contacts Mina again, never speaks our names publicly, never sets foot in Seoul without my explicit permission, and if she violates any of these terms, she repays double and faces criminal charges for extortion. That's harsh, the lawyer said carefully. That's merciful, Jin-woo countered, compared to what I want to do to her. Draw up the papers. 2 days later, Ji-young signed. Mina was officially, legally, completely Jin-woo's. The custody threat was over. But Elowen felt the settlement was too easy, too clean. She gave up fast, she said. That evening, watching Mina play in the garden. 20 million is a lot, but for someone who seemed so determined. She was never determined about Mina, Jin-woo said quietly. Only about hurting me. Once the public turned against her, she lost her leverage. Money was the consolation prize. You paid her to go away. I paid her to never hurt my daughter again. He pulled Elowen close. And it was worth every cent. We're safe now. All of us. Elowen wanted to believe it, wanted to think the danger had passed. But something in her gut whispered, this wasn't over. The engagement announcement made headlines. Park Jin-woo to marry mystery woman screamed across every news site. Elowen's photo, beautiful, poised, clearly in love, dominated social media. Public reaction was mixed, but mostly positive. A billionaire finding love with the woman who cared for his daughter? It was romantic. It was a fairy tale. But fairy tales always had monsters. The threat came 3 days before the wedding. Elowen was shopping for last-minute items with Mina and 2 guards when she noticed the black van. Too close. Too persistent. Following them through 3 store changes. We need to leave, she told the guards urgently. Now. They moved immediately, surrounding her and Mina, creating a human shield as they headed for the car. But the van cut them off, doors sliding open, and men poured out, masked, armed, moving with military precision. Elowen's scream was cut off as one grabbed her. Another reached for Mina, but the little girl bit down hard, and in the confusion, the guards managed to pull her free. Run! Elowen shouted at the guard holding Mina. Get her to Jin-woo! Then she was being dragged into the van, the door slamming shut, and the world dissolved into chaos. Jin-woo was in a meeting when his head of security burst in, face pale. Sir, there's been an incident. Miss Hart was taken. We have Mina. She's safe. But they took Miss Hart. The world stopped. Then Jin-woo moved, every controlled, civilized part of him shattering. Lock down the house. Get Mina to the panic room. Contact every resource we have. Police, private investigators, underground contacts. I want her found. Now. Sir, they left this. The guard held out a phone. It's been ringing. Jin-woo snatched it, answering. Where is she? Safe, for now. The voice was male, accented, unfamiliar. But her safety depends on your cooperation, Mr. Park. What do you want? His voice was lethal calm. Transfer 50 million to the account I'm sending. You have 6 hours. If the money doesn't arrive, we start removing pieces of your beautiful fiancée, starting with fingers, then hands. Then, touch her, and I will make your death last week's, Jin-woo interrupted, his voice dropping to something subhuman. I will find everyone you've ever loved and make them scream. I will erase you from existence so thoroughly that your ancestors will feel it. Do you understand me? Silence. Then, 6 hours. Don't test us. The line went dead. Jin-woo stared at the phone, then threw it across the room where it shattered. Around him, his team stood frozen, having never seen their controlled boss lose composure. Get me everything, he said quietly, and the quiet was somehow more terrifying than shouting. Every camera in that area, every traffic feed, every intelligence contact who owes me favors. I want to know who took her, where they took her, and how to get her back. and I want our best tactical team ready to move the second we have a location. Sir, if we pay, his lawyer began. I'm paying nothing. Jinwoo's eyes were black ice. These people made a mistake. They took the one thing in this world I'd burn everything to get back. So we're not negotiating. We're going to war. Elawan woke in darkness, head pounding, hands bound behind her back. The space smelled of oil and rust. A warehouse, maybe. Abandoned. She tested her restraints, finding them professional. Whoever took her knew what they were doing. She's awake, a voice said in Korean. Footsteps approached, and a light snapped on, blinding her momentarily. When her vision cleared, she saw 3 men. Masks still on. Professional. Who are you? She demanded. What do you want? Your fiancé's money, the leader said in English, and his suffering. Both, preferably. He'll find me, Elawan said with more confidence than she felt. He has resources you can't imagine. We're counting on it. The man crouched before her. See? We don't actually care about the ransom. That's just bait. What we want is Park Jin-woo vulnerable, distracted, making mistakes. His empire has enemies, Miss Hart, and you're the perfect weapon. Her blood ran cold. This isn't about money. It's about destroying him. Very good. Though I admit, we will take the 50 million if he's stupid enough to pay it. But whether he pays or not, you die. And he gets to live with the knowledge that loving you killed you. Terror clawed at her throat, but Elawan forced it down. Jin-woo would come. She knew it with bone-deep certainty. She just had to survive until he did. He'll kill you, she said quietly. All of you. You have no idea what you've started. The man laughed. We'll see. Jin-woo's team worked with military efficiency. Within 3 hours, they'd tracked the van to an industrial district on the outskirts of Seoul. Abandoned warehouses, minimal security, perfect for a kidnapping. I count at least 6 hostiles, his head of security reported, studying the thermal imaging. Miss Hart is in the central building, bound but alive. They're waiting for the money transfer. They're not getting it. Jin-woo checked his weapon, his movements cold and precise. He'd served in the military before building his empire. He knew how to handle a gun. We go in hard and fast. Primary objective is Elawan's safety. Everything else is secondary. Sir, this is what they want, his lawyer protested. You, distracted and emotional, making rash decisions. Let the police handle. The police moved too slowly, filed too many reports, asked too many questions. Jin-woo's eyes were dead calm. I handle my own problems. Always have. His tactical team, ex-military, loyal to the death, nodded in understanding. They'd been with Jin-woo for years, knew exactly what kind of man he became when protecting his own. On my signal, Jin-woo said, moving toward the exit, and someone stays with Mina. If anything happens to me, she goes to Elawan's emergency contacts. Make sure she knows her mother loved her. Nothing's happening to you, his second-in-command said firmly. We get you both out. That's the mission. Jin-woo's smile was knife-sharp. Then let's go to war. The assault happened at hour 5 of the 6-hour deadline. The kidnappers never saw it coming. Jin-woo's team breached from 3 sides simultaneously. Flashbangs, smoke, coordinated chaos. Elawan heard the explosions, felt the building shake, and then the lights went out completely. Gunfire erupted, shouting in Korean. She threw herself to the floor, trying to make herself small, praying Jin-woo wasn't in the line of fire. Then hands were on her, gentle hands, cutting her bonds. I've got you, Jin-woo's voice said against her ear, and Elawan sobbed with relief. I've got you, baby. Hold on to me. She wrapped her arms around his neck, and he lifted her effortlessly, moving through the darkness with the confidence of someone who'd mapped every exit. Around them, his team covered their retreat, professional and lethal. They made it to the vehicle, and Jinwoo placed her in the back seat, sliding in beside her, hands immediately checking her for injuries. "Are you hurt? Did they touch you? Tell me everything." "I'm okay," she managed, though she was shaking uncontrollably. "Jinwoo, they said this wasn't about money. They wanted to hurt you through me. They have enemies who, I know," his jaw was granite, "and they just made the last mistake of their lives. My people are handling it." "What does that mean?" His eyes met hers, and she saw something frightening in their depths. "It means they don't walk away from this alone. It means I'm making an example so brutal that no one ever thinks about touching you again." She should have been horrified, should have protested the violence. Instead, wrapped in his arms, still trembling from terror, she felt only relief, only safety, only absolute certainty that this man would move heaven and earth to protect her. "Take me home," she whispered. "Take me to Mina. I need to see her. Need to know she's safe." "She's safe, I promise." He pulled her closer. "And you're never leaving my sight again. Security teams, armored vehicles, whatever it takes. I'm not risking this twice." "Jinwoo, don't argue." His voice was ragged. "I thought I'd lost you. For 5 hours, I thought you were gone, and it nearly destroyed me. So you're going to accept the security, accept the protection, accept that you're too precious to risk." Against his chest, Elowen felt tears slip free. "I was so scared. I know, baby. I know." His lips pressed to her hair. "But you're safe now. I've got you. And I'm never letting go." Mina's reunion with Elowen was tearful and desperate. The little girl threw herself into Elowen's arms, sobbing, signing frantically about how scared she'd been, how she'd bitten the bad man, how the guards had taken her away. "I'm okay, sweetheart," Elowen sighed, holding her tight. "I'm okay. You were so brave. So brave." "I thought they'd hurt you," Mina sighed, her small face devastated. "I thought I'd never see you again. I'm not going anywhere." Elowen pulled back to look her in the eye. "I'm staying right here with you and your daddy forever. I promise." Mina's arms tightened. Over her head, Jinwoo watched with an expression that made Elowen's heart ache. Love, devotion, absolute determination. That night, after Mina finally fell asleep between them in Jinwoo's massive bed, he and Elowen lay in the darkness, bodies curled together. "I killed them," Jinwoo said quietly. "Not personally, but I gave the order. They're gone, Elowen, all of them, and I'd do it again without hesitation." She should have been shocked, should have pulled away. Instead, she pressed closer. "I know who you are, Jinwoo. I've always known. You're not a good man in the conventional sense, but you're a good man for us. For me and Mina. And that's what matters." His arms tightened. "Most people would run. I'm not most people." She tilted her face up to his. "I'm the woman who's choosing you, darkness and all, because I understand it now. The protection, the possessiveness, the absolute refusal to let anything hurt us. It's love, Jinwoo. Violent, consuming, terrifying love. And I feel it too." "Elowen, I'd burn the world for you," she interrupted. "For Mina. I realized it today. If they'd hurt her, I'd have destroyed them myself. So I understand. I see you. And I'm still here." The kiss he gave her was devastating, desperate, full of every emotion he couldn't speak. And when they finally broke apart, his forehead rested against hers. "Marry me tomorrow," he whispered. "I can't wait 3 more days. I need you to be mine legally, permanently, immediately." "What about the venue? The guests? I don't care about any of it. I care about you wearing my ring and taking my name and being tied to me so completely that no one ever questions who you belong to." "Yours," she breathed. "I belong to you." "And I belong to you." His hand covered her heart. Every dark, broken piece. You own me, Eloan Hart. Might as well make it official. She laughed through tears. Tomorrow, then. Just us and Mina, and whoever can get there on short notice. Perfect. He kissed her again. Absolutely perfect. They married in Jinwoo's garden at sunset, the following day, with Mina as flower girl and a handful of close friends and security team as witnesses. Eloan wore a simple white dress that Jinwoo had somehow procured overnight. He wore a black suit and looked at her like she was salvation. When the officiant asked if he took Eloan to be his wife, Jinwoo's answer was fierce. Absolutely. Now and forever. And when Eloan said her vows, promising to love him through darkness and light, danger and peace, she meant every word. They kissed as husband and wife, while Mina cheered silently, her hand signing family over and over, her face radiant with joy. It wasn't the grand society wedding Jinwoo's status demanded. It was better. It was real. It was theirs. The honeymoon was delayed due to security concerns, but Jinwoo didn't seem to mind. He kept Eloan close, touching her constantly, as if reassuring himself she was real and safe, and his. 2 weeks after the wedding, his lawyers called with news. The men who'd orchestrated the kidnapping had ties to a rival corporation that had been trying to undermine Park Industries for years. Jinwoo's response had been swift and brutal. Hostile takeover, criminal investigations, complete corporate destruction. You buried them, Eloan said, reading the reports. Completely. No apology in his voice. And sent a message to anyone else considering similar action. My family is untouchable. Period. Your family, she repeated softly. I like the sound of that. His hand splayed across her still flat stomach. About that. I want to expand it. Soon. If you're ready. Eloan's breath caught. You want more children? I want everything with you. His eyes were intense. Mina adores you. I adore you. And the thought of you carrying my child, of building a family together, of giving Mina siblings. He trailed off, emotion thick in his voice. It's all I think about. I want that too, Eloan admitted. More than I realized. But Jinwoo, we've only been married 2 weeks. Maybe we should. I've known I wanted you forever since the day we met, he interrupted. 2 weeks, 2 years, it doesn't change what I feel. But if you need time, I don't. She kissed him, soft and sure. I don't need time. I just need you. His smile was devastating. Then let's start now. 3 months later, Eloan stared at the positive pregnancy test with shaking hands. She and Jinwoo had been trying, yes, but actually seeing the confirmation made it real. Terrifyingly, beautifully real. She was going to be a mother. Jinwoo's wife and Mina's mother, and the mother of his biological child. A family. A real, permanent family. Eloan? Jinwoo's voice came from the bedroom. You okay in there? She opened the bathroom door, holding out the test wordlessly. His eyes dropped to it. Widened. Then he was moving, sweeping her into his arms, holding her so tight she could barely breathe. We're having a baby, he said against her hair, voice wrecked. We're having a baby. Are you happy? She asked, though she could feel his answer in every line of his body. Happy doesn't begin to cover it. He pulled back, hands framing her face. You've given me everything, Eloan. Everything I never knew I needed. A home, a wife, a complete family. I don't have words for what I feel. Try, she whispered. Grateful. His thumbs brushed her cheeks. Terrified, overwhelmed, completely in love with you. Ready to burn down anyone who ever threatens our children. Desperate to be the father this baby deserves. All of it, all at once. So intense I can barely stand it. Tears slipped down her face. I love you. So much it scares me sometimes. Good scared or bad scared? Good. She smiled through the tears. The kind that means I have something worth losing, worth fighting for, worth living for. His kiss was gentle this time, reverent, full of promises for their future. We need to tell Mina, Alawan said when they broke apart. She should be the first to know. Jinwoo nodded, and together they found Mina in her playroom. When they explained in sign language that Alawan had a baby growing in her belly, that Mina was going to be a big sister, the little girl's face transformed. Really? She signed frantically. Really, really. Really, really, Alawan confirmed, laughing as Mina threw herself forward. I'm going to be the best big sister, Mina sighed against Alawan's shoulder. I'll teach them everything. I'll protect them. I'll make sure they know sign language so they can talk to me. Slow down, Jinwoo sighed with a smile. You've got months to prepare. But yes, you'll be an amazing big sister. Mina pulled back, her expression suddenly serious. Will you still love me? When the baby comes? Alawan's heart cracked. She knelt before Mina, taking the little girl's hands. Sweet girl, I will love you forever. You were my first baby. You're the one who made me a mother. Nothing will ever change that. Ever. Promise? Mina's eyes were wide. I promise. Alawan pulled her close. You're mine, Mina. Completely mine. And I'm yours. That's forever. Over Mina's head, she met Jinwoo's eyes and saw them shining with unshed tears. He mouthed, I love you. And she mouthed it back. This was everything. This was home. The pregnancy was smooth but closely monitored. Jinwoo insisted on the best doctors, the best care, the best everything. Alawan teased him about being overprotective, but secretly she loved it. Loved being cherished. Loved the way he talked to her growing belly every night, promising their baby a safe, happy life. Mina was involved in everything. Picking colors for the nursery, shopping for tiny clothes, learning about baby care. She took her role as big sister with adorable seriousness. 6 months in, they learned they were having a girl. Jinwoo wept openly in the ultrasound room, holding Alawan's hand like she was his anchor. 2 daughters, he said wonderingly. I have 2 daughters. You're going to be so outnumbered, Alawan teased. Best fate I can imagine. He kissed her swollen belly. My girls, all 3 of you. Seoul society had fully embraced Alawan by then. The story of the foreign woman who'd seen Park Jinwoo's daughter when no one else would have become legend. Charity organizations approached her to work with deaf children. Media outlets requested interviews. She'd become something of a symbol. Proof that love could cross cultures, overcome obstacles, transform lives. But Alawan's favorite moments weren't the public ones. They were the quiet evenings with Jinwoo and Mina, the 3 of them curled together, planning their future. They were the mornings when Jinwoo would wake her with gentle kisses and whispered declarations. They were the afternoons in the garden, watching Mina play, feeling their baby kick beneath her hand. This was the life she'd dreamed of and never believed she'd have. And it was more beautiful than any fantasy. Labor started 3 weeks early, and Jinwoo nearly had a panic attack. Alawan had never seen him so undone, pacing, demanding updates from doctors every 5 minutes, holding her hand so tight she thought he'd break bones. Breathe, she told him during a contraction. You need to breathe, Jinwoo. You breathe, he shot back. You're the one in labor. I'm just dying here. Despite the pain, she laughed. I'm fine. The baby's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's not fine until I see both of you safe and healthy, he insisted. Then maybe I'll breathe. 12 hours later, their daughter entered the world with a powerful cry that made Jinwoo sob. They placed her on Alawan's chest, tiny, perfect, with Jinwoo's dark hair and Elowen's warm skin tone. "She's beautiful," Elowen whispered, exhausted and euphoric. "She's so beautiful." Jinwoo pressed his forehead to hers, tears streaming down his face. "Thank you. Thank you for her. For all of this. For choosing us." "Always," Elowen breathed. "Always you." They named her Nima, which meant grace in Kenya, and eternal in Korean. A perfect bridge between their worlds. When they brought Mina to meet her sister, the 7-year-old approached cautiously, eyes wide with wonder. She stared at the baby for a long moment, then looked at Elowen and Jinwoo. "She's so small," she signed. "Is she okay?" "She's perfect," Elowen signed back. "Want to hold her?" Mina nodded eagerly, and with Jinwoo's help, they settled the baby carefully in her arms. Mina's face transformed with awe. "Hi, baby sister," she signed one-handed, the other supporting Nima. "I'm Mina. I'm going to love you forever." Jinwoo pulled out his phone, capturing the moment, but Elowen saw his hands shaking, saw the overwhelming emotion in his eyes. This man who'd built an empire, who destroyed enemies without hesitation, who was feared and respected across Seoul, he was undone by the sight of his daughters together. "We did it," she said softly. "We built this." "You built this," he corrected, wrapping his arm around her shoulders. "You walked into our broken lives and made us whole. Every good thing I have is because of you." "That's not true." "It's completely true." He kissed her temple. "You're my miracle, Elowen. You and our girls. Everything else is just details." 6 months later, Elowen stood in the garden watching Mina push Nima's stroller, signing stories to her baby sister, who watched her with fascinated eyes. The afternoon sun cast everything in gold, and for a moment, Elowen couldn't breathe from the sheer beauty of it. Jinwoo's arms came around her from behind, pulling her against his chest. "What are you thinking about?" "How different life is from a year ago," she said quietly. "How I was barely surviving in Seoul, convinced I'd never belong anywhere. And now you're home." He turned her in his arms. "This is home, Elowen. Not the house, not the city. You're my home. You always will be. Even when I'm exhausted and covered in baby spit-up and haven't slept more than 3 hours at a time in months. Especially then." His smile was soft. "You've never been more beautiful than you are right now. Tired and strong and absolutely magnificent as a mother." "Sweet talker," she murmured, but she was smiling. "Truth talker." He kissed her, slow and deep. "I love you. Today. Tomorrow. Forever. That's not changing." "Good." She pressed closer. "Because you're stuck with me now. Legally bound. 3 kids deep. No escape. Best trap I've ever walked into." His hand settled on her hips. "Though I'm thinking we should add another in a year or 2. Round out the family." "Jinwoo," she laughed. "I just had a baby 6 months ago." "I said a year or 2, he defended. "I'm not a monster, but I like our family loud and full and chaotic. Don't you?" She looked at Mina and Nima, at their beautiful home, at the life they'd built from that chance meeting in a cafe. "I love our family exactly as it is. But," she smiled up at him, "ask me again in a year." "Deal." He sealed it with a kiss. 2 years later, they had a son, Ji-hoon, named after Jinwoo's late father. Mina was an exceptional big sister, teaching both younger siblings sign language from birth. Nima was a wild, fearless toddler who kept everyone on their toes. And Ji-hoon was quiet, observant, with Elowen's gentle nature and Jinwoo's sharp intelligence. Elowen had launched a foundation for deaf children in Korea, providing resources and education that hadn't existed before. Jinwoo supported it fully, both financially and emotionally. Mina became the face of the foundation, A confident, articulate young girl who proved that being deaf wasn't a limitation, but simply a different way of experiencing the world. Seoul society no longer saw Aloan as an outsider. She was Park Jin-woo's wife, mother to his children, philanthropist, and advocate. She belonged. But, more importantly, she belonged to her family. To Jin-woo, who still looked at her every day like she was his personal miracle. To Mina, who called her mom in sign language and meant it with her whole heart. To Nima and Ji-hoon, who knew no life except one filled with love and security. On their 5th wedding anniversary, Jin-woo took Aloan back to the cafe where they'd met. It had been reserved entirely for them, the same table where he'd first seen her kneeling beside his daughter. "I proposed to you in crisis," he said, taking her hand, in fear and desperation. "So I wanted to do it again. Properly." "Jin-woo, we're already married." "I know." He dropped to one knee anyway, pulling out a new ring, different from her engagement ring, this one embedded with 5 stones. "This is for us. 1 stone for each year we've been together. 1 for each of our children. And 1, he pointed to the largest central diamond, for the love that started everything. Will you marry me again, Aloan? Every day for the rest of our lives?" Tears streamed down her face. "Yes, every day. Forever." He slid the ring on beside her wedding band, then stood and pulled her into his arms. "I love you. More than when we started. More than yesterday. Less than tomorrow." "That's beautiful," she whispered. "Did you write that?" Mina helped. His smile was soft. "She wanted me to get it right." Aloan laughed, crying harder. "Our daughter is a romantic. Wonder where she gets it." He kissed her, gentle and sure. "Thank you for seeing us, Aloan. For seeing Mina when no one else did. For seeing me beneath the empire and the reputation. For building this life with us." "Thank you for letting me in," she replied. "For choosing me. For fighting for me. For giving me everything I never knew I needed. Always," he pressed his forehead to hers. "In this life and every one after, I'll choose you. I'll fight for you. I'll love you. Promise," she whispered. "Promise." He kissed her again. "Until my last breath and beyond." They renewed their vows that evening in the same garden where they'd first married, surrounded by family and friends and the children they'd created together. Mina stood beside Aloan as maid of honor, signing the ceremony for her siblings. Nima threw flower petals with chaotic enthusiasm. Ji-hoon watched everything with solemn eyes from his grandmother's arms. And when Jin-woo kissed his wife, his Aloan, his miracle, his home, the garden erupted in applause. Later, after the guests had left and the children were asleep, Jin-woo and Aloan stood on their balcony overlooking the city. Seoul sparkled below them, beautiful and vast and full of possibility. "Do you ever think about that day?" Aloan asked quietly. "In the cafe? How everything changed in an instant?" "Every day." Jin-woo's arms tightened around her. "I think about how close I came to never meeting you. What if Mina had been with her regular caretaker, if you'd been? 5 minutes later, if any tiny detail had been different, we might have missed each other completely. And it terrifies me. But we didn't miss each other." She turned in his arms. "We found each other exactly when we were supposed to. Maybe it was fate. Maybe it was a chance. Maybe it was just 2 broken people recognizing each other across a crowded room. But it happened, Jinwoo. We happened. And nothing can change that now." "Nothing," he agreed. "Because I'd find you in every lifetime, Aloan, every universe, every possible reality. You're inevitable for me. And you for me." She kissed him, soft and sweet. "My grumpy, overprotective, impossibly romantic billionaire." Your grumpy, overprotective, impossibly romantic billionaire, he corrected. Forever. Forever, she echoed. And in that moment, overlooking the city where their love story began, surrounded by the life they'd built and the children they'd created, Eloan knew with absolute certainty that fairy tales were real. They just sometimes started with a scared little girl, a desperate father, and a woman brave enough to kneel and say, "I see you." And they always, always ended with love.